The Subcommittee on International Operations and Human Rights will come to order. I want to welcome our very courageous witnesses to this important hearing. Today, at long last, we will hear from the people who risked their lives in search of freedom. These are also people who testify from their own personal experience about the horrors of forced abortion and forced sterilization under the coercive population control program of the People's Republic of China. Each of our four witnesses today have been found by the United States Immigration Judge to have testified credibly that he or she was subjected to a forced abortion or to a forced sterilization, or fled China under an imminent threat of being forced to undergo such procedures. Forced abortion was properly considered a crime against humanity at the Nuremberg War Crime Tribunal. Today, it is employed regularly with chilling effectiveness and unbearable pain upon women in the People's Republic of China. Human rights groups have universally condemned the People's Republic of China's coercive population control program. The Lawyers Committee for Human Rights, in a letter last month to Chairman Ben Gilman of our House International Relations Committee, said, I quote, "The forced abortion and sterilization of those who refuse to comply with coercive government policies violates the most fundamental of human rights, the right to bodily integrity. These invasive, inhumane practices imposed by the Chinese government officials, in our view, clearly constitute persecution within the meaning of the Refugee Act. We applaud your efforts to correct this injustice and clarify the scope of the law." Amnesty International, USA, which issued a report this spring about two predominantly Catholic villages in China that were targeted for especially brutal enforcement of the coercive family planning policy, adds the following, quote, "If a person can show that he or she has resisted coercive family planning practices imposed by the authorities, that person is eligible for protection under asylum law, and they are a member of a group which may be targeted for abuse. Assuming that such persons do not qualify for protection under some interpretations of U.S. asylum law, Amnesty International would endorse any effort to provide them such protection." Last month, the House passed H.R. 1561, the Overseas Interest Act, which contained a provision that would restore asylum under United States law for people who can prove that they are unwilling or unable to return to their home countries because of forced abortion, forced sterilization, or a well-founded fear of being forced to undergo such procedures and being persecuted for resistance to them. This provision was endorsed not only by the Lawyers Committee and Amnesty, but also by the United States Catholic Conference, the Council of Jewish Federation, the Women's Commission for Refugee Women and Children, and a wide range of other human rights groups, refugee advocates, and women's organizations. So our works, even the Center for Reproductive and Law and Policy, a litigation center that supports the legalization of abortion, which I do not, has made it clear that it regards forced abortion and forced sterilization as persecution. So our witnesses today are refugees, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, they are also prisoners, detained for over 2 years under a bizarre interpretation of our immigration laws, which treats resistance to coercive population control policies as no different than ordinary law breaking, and regards resistors as illegal immigrants rather than refugees fleeing persecution. When H.R. 1561 didn't come into law, perhaps they would be free. The purpose of today's hearing is not to explore the reasons for their detention in the U.S. or their treatment while in detention, although I would say parenthetically I was somewhat surprised and I would say shocked that prior to coming out to this setting in the outer room, each of our witnesses were handcuffed. Rather than the purpose of this hearing is to hear their stories, to bring home to Congress and to the American public the horrors to which they have been subjected and the brutality that they will face if the Clinton administration forcibly returns them to China. On behalf of the subcommittee, I welcome our witnesses. We honor you, and I'd like to ask if any of the members of our subcommittee or members of the House who are here would like to say anything in opening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd simply like to say that we in America for a long time have represented freedom in this world. Many times when other nations have thrown in the towel and turned their back on those with a similar plight, we have stood as a beacon to represent freedom and to help people to pursue life according to the dictates of their own conscience. I think it's unconscionable that at this time in America's history, we are turning our back on folks like the ones that are going to be testifying before us today, who have a God-given life to bear children, to raise families, and to love those families. And I am deeply sorrowful that this administration chooses to turn its back on the people that are being persecuted. And if you'll indulge me, I would like to share just a few thoughts in hopefully their native tongue, Mandarin Chinese. I served a mission for my church and learned the Mandarin language, and I would like to just share my thoughts. 上海的是上帝给我们的权利，我们在美国代表自由。我想克林顿的政策使这些人回家非常不好。如果他们回家，我想他们的政府一定要放他们在监狱。我想我们应该保护他们。我想我们的国家代表自由，所以我要告诉你们，应该不要伤心。我们在这边要帮助，我很想我们的总统也要帮助。谢谢你。